Thousands of years ago, in the lands of the Eastern Slavs, among villages lost in endless forests, stories were born. Stories about creatures that hid in the shadows of huts and watched from lakes, about old gods that could help a lost traveler or kill him. Agent Nesty at your service. Agent Nesty at your service, and I invite you to dive into our magical world of Slavic fairy tales and its creatures. Domovoy, Vodianoy, Leshiy, Koschei Bessmertniy, and of course, Baba Yaga, my favorite creature. I did not go into the forest for no reason. I wanted to film this video right in the natural habitat of all those scary, immortal creatures. Russia back then was all forests and taiga. The whole life of Eastern Slavs happened next to the forest. It was a source of firewood, berries, mushrooms, but also dangers. Wolves, bears, bandits. Here is a lot of squirrels. I love this place. That's crazy. I never seen so many squirrels in one place. It is easy to get lost in here and die. For our ancestors, it was not just like kids' fairy tales as we see them now. These stories were passed from our grandmas to grandchilds as a wisdom and warning about real dangers. And they touch on not so kids-friendly topics like harsh punishment, playback, and death. Not only the enemies and the evil, but also the families. Before Christianity came to Slavic lands, regular people worshipped lots of pagan gods. They were tied right to the nature and elements, family, and their ancestors. I'm so sorry if I'm gonna make mistakes on this video, but you should be already used to that, right? Perun, supreme god of thunder, lightning, war, and justice. Veles, god of magic, underworld, and harvest. Mokosh, goddess of earth, fertility, protector of women, birth, and fates. The forest was seen as a sacred place where many gods lived, rituals happened there, and trees were homes for spirits. But during the Крещение Руси, baptism of Rus, many totems were destroyed, and a lot of gods were kinda turned into demons, and the creatures that was praised before got a lot of prayers and offerings, food, animals. They became kinda outlawed. It is hard to learn about them in details and say anything for sure just because the writing as we have it now does not exist, but many gods and their servants survived through the oral folklore, and they got to us in the shape of magical Russian folk tales. The most known character of Russian folk tales is Baba Yaga, and I was surprised to know that she's well known abroad too. Then I asked in my patrons group chat like what kind of Russian tales character you know. They started with Baba Yaga. She even showed up in the Witcher universe, and now someone called Keanu Reeves Baba Yaga. That's weird, but I like it. Usually she's portrayed as an evil old witch with a big hump, hooked nose, crooked teeth, and grey hair scrubs. She flies in a mortar, steering with a pestle, and sweeping tracks with a broom, and she lives in the forest in a hut on chicken legs, surrounded by the fence of human bows with skulls on them. And you can get into the hut if you know the phrase 𝐬𝐮𝐩𝐥𝐿𝐵𝐭, повернись к лесу задом, ко мне передом. A lot of heroes in the fairy tales, they say it, to get into the hut. It is said that she eats people, cooking them in the traditional Russian oven, 𝐬𝐻𝐵𝐭, the real Russian trad wife. But actually, I cannot recall even one fairy tale there she eats someone. And she has a lot of servants. Usually it is the forest creatures, animals, cats. And in Russia, people respect Baba Yaga. Because really, she's not just a forest scare to frighten children. As a kid, I was never scared of Baba Yaga. I was scared of my drunk father. Baba Yaga is an ancient archetype that soaked up bits of pagan goddesses. She's not evil or good. She's something like a guardian on the border between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. She has no morals like regular people. She can be cruel if you disrespect her or her servants, and she can also help you if you are showing kindness, bravery, or if you have like pure soul. If you dig deep into that character, you can be buried. Because in some studies of Slavic folklore, they say that Baba Yaga is a dead spirit, and her heart reflects ancient burials. Their bodies were put in little houses on high posts, and skulls or bones used in rituals. Other scholars think she is a spirit or chthonical creature tied to pagan initiation rites. Their young people went through the tests in the forest, symbolizing entering adult life. And actually, yeah, in the Russian tales, it's usually young guys and girls often came to her willingly or not, and Baba Yaga always gives them really hard, almost impossible tasks. I'm so sorry this finger keep getting done. That is not по-христиански. And they have to pass them, or she will roast you and eat in her pechka. Usually main character have to show their respect to Baba Yaga. They should please Baba Yaga or outsmart her. And if they succeed, Baba Yaga can not only let them go, but also give him some magical item that could help them to achieve their goal or fight their enemies. But if not, welcome to the oven. Baba Yaga as an archetype lives in many countries under different names, like lots of our creatures. And I want to mention that Russian folk tales, it's like one branch on the big tree of Slavic fairy tales, Slavic folklore. They are closely tied to Ukrainian, Belarusian, Polish tales. Since I grew up in Russia, I grew up on these fairy tales, and I talk mostly about them. But it's not like these characters only Russian. So I suggest in the comments, tell each other if similar characters exist in your countries. Like, let's share our culture. I will tell you about ours, and also in the description I will leave links where you can read these tales in English translation and also to the originals. Most of the originals came to us thanks to folklorist Alexander Afanasyev, who collected them across Rus in the 19th century, and he recorded about 600 stories. And we can call them canon, even though canon it is not applied to the Slavic folklore, because even different regions can have different characteristics of the same characters. Besides Baba Yaga, in Russian forests and houses live some other characters, and people actually still believe in them. For example, Domovoy. Domovoy is a small creature, usually shown as a little old man. He is a house spirit that protects the house and the family, but can play tricks if offended. And my mom always talk about him like he actually exists. Sometimes then we cannot find something in the house. My mom always told me to repeat few times Domovoy, Domovoy, поиграл и отдай. Like, if you make him angry somehow, for example, you do not show the respect to your house, he can hide your stuff in the house and you will not be able to find them. And if you say it, maybe he will let you find. So in the modern Russia, in the cartoons, he is shown as a kind, cute spirit who teaches you to show respect to your house. Also, character all Russian know is Leshiy, and she lives somewhere in here, in the forest. He is a forest spirit, usually the guardian of the forest and forest animals. He is often shown as an old man with green beard and hair like leaves or moths. In Slavic beliefs, Leshy is neutral to people. He can help you if you get lost in the forest, but if, for example, you harm forest animals or the trees, show any disrespect to the nature, he can make you get lost in the forest and die. He is able to mess up the paths and also to mimic the voices of different creatures, so he can scare the people. So for example, the mushroom or berry speakers, they should show the respect to the nature, and in that way Leshy can actually help them to find something nice. I know that in Belarusian and Ukrainian fairy tales Leshy also often portrayed, but if I'm not mistaken he's called Lisavik. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Another Slavic grandpa is Vodyanoy. Vodyanoy is an owner of water. He lives in the lakes, mostly with long hair, frog skin. Sometimes he has fish-like or frog-like fingers and carp's eyes. Handsome man. Vodyanoy is in charge of drowning people, mostly the ones who did not bring any offering for him, and in some fairy tales Vodyanoy is portrayed as a king of the underwater. People believed that if someone drowned in the waters, they become servant in his underwater kingdom. To make a deal with Vodyanoy, people bring bread to the waters, they can throw their eggs or roosters. Koschei Bessmertniy is the main villain in this Eastern Slavic fairy tales. He is skinny old man with weakness for Russian beauties. His name Koschei comes from the word kost, which means bone, because he is bony. And in tales he often kidnaps young girls, whatever it is, princesses or peasants. Koschei appears in Russian fairy tale as often as Baba Yaga, but he is not so well known for some reason. But tales often exaggerate humans' sins and weaknesses, and Koschei has two of them. This is greed and the fear of death. He is immortal, he has lots of gold, but there is no use for that gold. To beat death, he get rid of his soul, and he put it in the chain of different objects. Koschei's death located in the needle, in the egg, in the duck, in the hare, rabbit, hair, in the chest, buried under the oak on the faraway island Buyan. And let me tell you, it reminds me of something. So to beat Koschei in tales, heroes usually have to find it, unbury it, catch the rabbit, catch the duck, egg, and break the needle. And I love Harry Potter. And before making scenario for this video, I never ever put these two characters together. But then I was writing that, I'm like, wait a second. Just like Koschei, Voldemort also get rid of his soul, hide it in some objects, and it made him look like not human being. And he's also tall and bony. And I even googled, is Joanne Rowling like got some inspiration from this Slavic character? But seems like no. I like to think that she got inspired from Koschei. Internet told me that this is not true, and no. But Voldemort was obsessed not with young girls, but with a young boy. Slavic girls are often the main heroes in the Slavic fairy tales. And they're often not like a classic damsels in the distress. They often complex characters, as I understand, who aimed to represent the Slavic girls as we all wanted to be. They are wise, brave, fair, merciful, but can be vulnerable too. And many researchers link this to the pre-Christian traditions, which reflects bits of matriarchy. For example, Maria Marievna. In the tale, she is queen warrior who beats whole armies, and she keeps Koschei at her place as a captive until a man she falls for come and accidentally let him go. Isn't that a reflection of Slavic traditions? Maria told him not to go to the basement. 𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 and Ivan Durak is very popular male characters in Russian fairy tales. This man is 𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿. He is popular male lead in the Slavic folk. 𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 accidentally frees Koschei, and Koschei kidnaps Maria, and Ivan has to go through trials to fight the Koschei's death, to kill him and free Maria. But at the same time, Maria is the one who helps him to get the information how to find Koschei's death. And this duality in the Slavic tales is very interesting for me. I never thought about it before. Like, in a lot of tales, the main character, he have to go through some trials, he have to be strong and smart, and he often saves the female character, but at the same time, he's often the reason why female character is in trouble. And the female characters, they act slower, wiser, and usually they have more magic powers. They act carefully, while male characters act on heroism. Another very famous fairy tale character is Vasilisa Premudraя. In a lot of fairy tales, she's an archetype of a smart girl with magic powers. She is cursed into being a frog, and by the accident, 𝐬𝐿𝐿𝐴 have to marry her, to marry the frog. His father said that he must marry the girl where his arrow lands. 𝐬𝐿𝐴, of course, was upset because his brothers, they got really at least human-looking wives, and he got a frog. But at the nights, Vasilisa becomes a beautiful girl. She makes the best bread, the most beautiful carpet. At the feast, she does some wonders, and that is impressed the Tsar. So 𝐬𝐿𝐴 decides to burn the frog's skin, so Vasilisa always stays like that. But that's not how things are being done. Because of that, Princess can't return to her form, and she flies away from him as a swan, and then the trials begins. Ivan goes to find her, Baba Yaga helps him, and he takes Vasilisa from the Koschey. And finally, I want to talk about the character who inspired my costume today, even though it does not turn out how I wanted it to be, but this is Vasilisa the Beautiful. It's not like I think I'm beautiful. I chose this because I really like this fairy tale, and I really love this painting of this character by Bilibin. This is a girl who visited Baba Yaga and survived. Vasilisa lost her mother by illness, but she got really strong mother's blessing sealed in a doll. Before dying, the mother told her to carry the doll everywhere. Then the father remarried the stepmom, and sister tried to wear her out with hard work, so she gets ugly. But the mother's blessing helped Vasilisa to do all the chores, so she did not become ugly. She even became more beautiful each day. And evil stepmother and the sisters, she got angry. So then the father left home for a while. They sent Vasilisa to the forest to the Baba Yaga. They said she needs to bring the fire from her because there was no fire in the house and they could not get it any other way. They called Baba Yaga their aunt. So Vasilisa did not actually knew where she is going. Then Vasilisa came to Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga agreed to give her fire, of course, if Vasilisa complete few chores. And of course, these chores was almost impossible to complete by regular human beings. So Baba Yaga actually hoped that she'll be able to eat Vasilisa. At some point, I understand Baba Yaga because she just lives her best life in the hut, in the forest, just does she's magic stuff, and there is always some young people coming by her hut. That is so annoying, just leave her alone. Vasilisa has to separate poppy seeds from sand, clear old bones scattered in the yard from dry leaves, cook for Baba Yaga's servants. But the mother's blessing, the doll, she came alive and helped her to do the impossible tasks, leaving only doable ones like cooking dinner. And then Baba Yaga asks like how you did that. Vasilisa, she just honestly said that she was blessed by her mother. So Baba Yaga says, go. I don't need a blessed woman in my place. And she is giving her the fire that her stepmother and sister asked for. It was one of the skulls on her fence. Those eyes burned the fire. Vasilisa ran home, broke the fire, but then they brought the skull into the hut. It started burning. The stepmom and stepsisters with its fire. Whenever they go, the school's eyes, the fire followed them. By morning, it burned them to coal and only did not touch Vasilisa. And that's the end of the children's fairy tale. Вот и сказочки конец, а кто слушал, молодец, как говорится. I grew up on these tales as many kids in Russia, and someone might say that these tales are too scary for the kids and too cruel, maybe, but at least I did not grow up on this children's show on YouTube. I don't know which is worse. All people gonna go traumatized in one or other way, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not saying I'm actually traumatized by these tales. Maybe I am, maybe I just don't know that. I feel like this kind of tales, they're more prepared me for this world, because unfortunately the real world is cruel and a lot of Kosheys exist in this world. But I would probably read some of these tales to my kids because my mom read them for me, For example, I'm really well remember the tale 𝐬𝐮𝐻𝐸. My mom read it to me, and there was a little girl, and then parents was leaving the home. They told her to not go out from the house because obviously it's dangerous. That's why they told her, but she didn't listen to them. She forget that, and she and her little brother went out, and her brother was stolen by the swans. And the sister got really afraid. She started to look for her brother. She also needed to go through some tasks to find him, and then at the end she finally finds him. And that fairy tale did not seem scary to me. I was not afraid after that my brother or I would be carried away by the gooses. I just remembered that if my parents told me not to go out, there is a reason for that. In another tale, there is also a sister and brother, and their older sister tells to her brother, do not drink from the river because he might become a goat. And he drinks and he becomes a goat. I remember that drinking from puddles might not be a good idea. In Russia, the tradition of reading road tales without modern censorship lives on, as they seem as a part of cultural heritage. Studies show kids can tell fiction from reality from 4 or 5 years, so scary stories help them build empathy and solve moral dilemmas. I grew up on the Russian versions of the folk tales, but many cultures have their own variations. Tell in the comments, do you have some similar characters in your culture? What kind of fairy tales you remember from your childhood? And thank you for watching this video. Now watch our ones, like, subscribe. Пока-пока.